Well, at the end of the day, Hoffman tried so hard, he got so far, but in the end, it didn't even matter. Chester Bennington is in this movie, and I tried to put a Linkin Park reference in there somewhere. Rest in peace, Chester Bennington.
Hello. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game. There is only one key to open the device. It's in the stomach of your dead cellmate. You better hurry up. Live or die. Make your choice.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Cam, and welcome back to my road to Saw 10, where I've been covering every Saw movie in the Book of Saw in honor of Saw 10 coming on September 29th. I've already covered everything from Saw 1 to Saw 6. Playlist link in the eye in the right-hand corner if you would like to check those videos out. But for right now, it is time to dive into what was thought to be the finale, or at least the finale of the mainline Saw canon films, Saw 3D or Saw the Final Chapter. This was released in 2010. It was directed once again by Kevin Greutert or Greutart. I still can't figure out his name, but he directed Saw 6 and is directing Saw 10 coming up in just a couple of weeks. And this was seemingly the last of the Saw movies. Yeah, that aged like a fine wine, didn't it? Things have gone officially pear-shaped for our boy Hoffman, and he is on the run after Jill Tuck basically rats him out to the proper authorities. But Jigsaw still got a jigsaw, and his target this time around is a man who claims to be a victim of the Jigsaw killings, but he may not be as truthful as he claims to be.
You lie!
Due to the diminishing returns of the Saw movies, and diminishing, I mean that they, even though they were still making a sizable profit on a small budget, the movies were making less and less every time. You can only go back to that well so many times. This was billed as the final chapter. In my research, I found the original title was supposed to be Saw Endgame. We could have gotten a timeline in which Jigsaw would have come out of a Doctor Strange-esque portal. I kind of want to see that now. This was set to be the last one, and to basically tie up any loose ends from any previous movies. This saw new characters, such as the victim this time around, the faux Jigsaw victim, but the return of a old character from the very first Saw movie in Dr. Lawrence Gordon, reprised by Cary Elwes. And this was actually a fan decision. Cary Elwes actually said in an interview he actually thanked the fans for campaigning to bring him back, and he is actually quite a bit of an important. He plays quite a big role in this movie, but more on that in a minute. This movie is very much a mixed bag. On the one hand, the ending is awesome. Like, I love the ending to this. Everything leading up to it is not so great. Not necessarily terrible, but I couldn't get the help but the feeling that it was wasted potential. You can place all of that wasted potential at the feet of the Bobby character, played by Sean Patrick Flanery. He is the so-called Jigsaw survivor and has gained some level of notoriety because of this. We come to find out that it was kind of a fib. Play the clip.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
But he sorta kinda is leveraging the Jigsaw notoriety to try and boost his profile. You see it all the time on social media, and this movie beat social media to it by a good few years. But I kind of wanted to see more of this, and the Book of Saw is really known for really having their movies basically be short. With the exception of one, there are no more of these movies that go over 90 minutes long, and I do appreciate that, but there are some instances where movies can be a little too short in that I wanted to see where someone claiming to be a Jigsaw victim, what they might do with it, and how John Kramer might see this and go, yeah, let's put this person to the real test. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Bobby is at this Jigsaw survivors meeting with several actual survivors, and Dr. Lawrence Gordon also happens to be there. And Gordon kind of chastises him as like, yeah, you're doing this just for the cameras that you hired.
I'm sure I speak for everyone here when I say how grateful we are to be part of your promotional DVD.
So I feel like they could have played more into that, but I guess it was just kind of there. The most effective thing that Bobby has to go through is the final test, where he has to go through the actual game that he claims that he survived. It basically involves him being suspended, I believe, by his pectoral muscles, and he has to climb up these chains. I'll put a picture in what the trap is called, but it was compelling in that moment. But again, I feel like there could have been more with this. Also, there are just some very weird production choices with this movie in particular. First up, there's a flashback with Tobin Bell as John Kramer getting Bobby's book and getting his autograph on there. He's wearing a backwards hat, and it's so very cringe because we all know that Tobin Bell is not necessarily a young man, and the whole age thing, the movies had to basically make him look younger than he actually is. But unlike today, where a studio would try and de-age an actor to try and make him or her look younger than they really are, they just gave Tobin Bell a backwards hat and said, make it work.
How do you do, fellow kids?
And of course, this movie came out in 2010, which meant that it was in 3D, but the post-conversion 3D, because you had to get the movie theater people to give them $2 extra. And yeah, the 3D scenes in this movie are not good. To give some context, I just recently watched Friday the 13th Part 3 for the first time. The 3D in that movie, which is awful, is somehow better than the 3D in Saw 3D. I know what I said, and I'm sticking to it. Whenever there was 3D in this movie, I was just saying to myself,
This is crap.
Unless you are James Cameron or Joseph Kosinski, do not touch 3D. It's not going to work for you. So for the first, hour of the movie, it's just kind of there, like standard Saw stuff, if you will. But then the ending happens, and that's when things ramp up dramatically. While Hoffman and Jill Tuck officially had their falling out at the end of Saw 6, it's been kind of a cold war between them in this movie until the very end, in which, well, yeah, Hoffman wins at the end and becomes the only person to effectively use the reverse bear trap. In all of these movies, everyone has survived the reverse bear trap. Amanda did in Saw 1, Mark Hoffman survived in Saw 6, and Jill Tuck was the only one who dies at the hands of the reverse bear trap. Maybe it was just the fact that they hadn't used it up to that point, and so they had to use it because it's the final one. It's probably the case, but it was a very effective scene. And as Hoffman is buttoning up everything and burning down Jigsaw's gadgets and gizmos and the doll and all of that, he gets jumped by 3 people in pigs' masks, and one of them just so happens to be Dr. Gordon, who has been working with Jigsaw this whole time. In my research, I found the direction they were going with was kind of a Stockholm Syndrome kind of way, in that basically Dr. Gordon had pretty much lost everything by that point, and so Jigsaw became his life, and basically helping John Kramer through everything. I don't know why I like this over the Hoffman stuff, but I just do. I guess they do a good job of showing that Dr. Gordon actually was effective in his job while Hoffman kind of wasn't. That might have something to do with it, but I thought that this was a pretty good reveal, and at the end, Hoffman finds himself chained up in the bathroom, the same bathroom from Saw 1 and the ending of Saw 2. Gordon leaves him there. Hoffman reaches for the very same saw that Gordon once had. Gordon grabs the saw, throws it out the door. He says, "Not this time." And then he walks out as the score gets higher and higher. And then Gordon says the line,
You can't fucking do this to me! Fuck you! No!
Game over.
To the pain means the first thing you lose will be your feet below the ankles. Then your hands at the wrists. Next your nose. The next thing you lose will be your left eye, followed by your right. Your ears you keep, and I'll tell you why. So that every shriek of every child at seeing your hideousness will be yours to cherish. Every babe that weeps at your approach, every woman who cries out, "Dear God, what is that thing?" will echo in your perfect ears. That is what the pain means. It means I leave you in anguish, wallowing in freakish misery forever.
This ending is beautiful. And no, I'm not just saying that because I dislike the Hoffman character, but effectively because Saw 10 kind of takes place even before, or I believe in between Saw 1 and 2. It's complicated. But effectively, this movie is the last movie in canon, so Dr. Gordon basically shuts the door on the Book of Saw as we know it. And of course, there's Jigsaw and Spiral, but the main line, Dr. Gordon slams the door shut. And yeah, it's pretty good. But I'm going to give this a good rating. Again, it's a mixed bag for the first hour, and then the ending is just great. It's really an effective ending. And again, there would be more of these movies, but if the series did end here, I would have been more than satisfied with what they did here. So good on them for that. But what did you all think of Saw the Final Chapter? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to read what you have to say. And stay tuned for next week, where the road to Saw 10 is almost over, but got a couple spin-offs left to cover. First up being 2017's Jigsaw. But if you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, click the bell to allow notifications so when a new video drops, you'll be the first to know about it. My name is Ryan Cam, and I'll see you in the next one.